Well, welcome to today's episode. Today we have a very special guest, Hank Levine. Hank is a successful CEO and global entrepreneur with expertise in sales, business development, marketing, and general management. He's a leading Additive tech, which is building an AI talent marketplace for funded startups and growing companies to build their AI teams using flexible offshore contractors that keep quality high and costs low. Hank created the marketing and business strategies for 6 companies, 4 of which were acquired for a total of $92 million. He's twice reinvented his career. Before Additive, he held senior management positions in venture capital-backed tech companies. The first phase of his career was with cutting-edge home automation and telecom firms. Interesting. I've got a background in home automation too there, Hank. Hank holds his master's in management from the Sloan School of at MIT, and bachelor's in engineering from the University of Pennsylvania. So welcome, Hank.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. We're very pleased to be on your podcast.
Thanks for coming. Absolutely. Yeah, for those of you just joining, we at Strativa AI help businesses scale their revenue over 12 months using AI. And so if you'd like to learn how to take your business to the next level, be sure to stick around for future episodes. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth into the DMs. So now, Hank, can you please tell us more about your background and where you got to, how you got to where you are with Be Additive?
Okay, so I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I love starting new companies. I always felt that entrepreneur is just a great way to have an expansion of your value system, creating something where your purpose in life can really be expressed through work, similar like you can do with your family. So for the past 20 years, I've run outsourcing companies with the primary business operations have been in India and the Philippines. But prior to that, I worked with several venture capital-backed software companies, really very cutting-edge home automation companies. And my first job, actually, right out of college, was with a company doing fusion energy research. So
Interesting.
not too many people can say that, right?
I bet. Yeah, no, they can't. Wow, fantastic. And so now with Be Additive, how large is your team?
So Be Additive has a team of 11 people.
Okay.
So small company. We've been in business for 2 years. We have 3 main areas of business, all around recruiting. So one's in staff augmentation. One is deployment of large teams for other companies. And we also have an employer of record business. But what's really exciting is our software company. So we have a software company that's building an AI talent marketplace, which is addressing the huge problems that funded startups and growth companies have hiring senior AI talent.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And so is the reach of Be Additive and specifically the software, is that also like a worldwide venture? How you were saying that with your other forays, there was a lot of worldwide things and involving India and things like that. I assume like your dev team and things like that are kind of worldwide, or what does it look like?
Most of the development's in the U.S., but it's absolutely a worldwide business. So here's the concept. I'm sure you're aware that, and for senior AI positions, the supply of candidates is very low. The demand for candidates is very, very high.
Yeah.
And so particularly for startups, even funded startups that have raised a lot of money, they just have an incredibly hard time hiring this talent. And even when they're able to find people, you'll find that a lot of the really strong candidates don't want to work for smaller companies because there's so much money flowing into the OpenAIs and the Google
the huge ones.
world. They can get stock options. And so you spend a lot of time trying to attract these people and you still can't, you break your budget to pay them and they still don't take your job. Making the problem even worse is, the recent announcement that there might be a charge of $100,000 to bring in H-1B talent. And a lot of that H-1B talent is in AI.
Yeah, the new potential.
There's just a massive shortage of these people. So what we're doing with our AI talent marketplace is we're creating a software product that will companies can register for and post job orders, but we also have vetted AI candidates. But most of these vetted candidates are in lower labor cost markets, particularly we have subsidiaries in India and the Philippines.
Okay.
And we also have partnerships with other companies so that we're able to provide talent from 41 different companies.
Hmm.
What this enables startups to do is to hire very senior AI positions, typically in a couple weeks. But they hire them as contractors who work from these lower labor cost markets. The cost is generally one third to one half of what it would cost to hire someone in the U.S. And the candidates love it because they can also get probably a 20 or 30% pay bump. But what they really love is they're usually working for local companies, and now they get a chance to work with get exposure globally by
Yeah.
working in the US, or actually a lot of our clients are in Europe. So working
Okay.
with US or European clients, they get much greater exposure and they really go down a different career path.
And so, in both directions, how are candidates and companies finding you guys? And then also, what are you doing to find each of them?
Well, all right, so uh prior to Be Additive, I ran a very large recruiting company. So it was again based with most of our operations in India and in the Philippines, but we had about 950 recruiters and over 100 clients. So we know, so we're pretty well established in the industry. The people in our company all came from my last company. They're very,
I see.
they're very experienced. So we get a lot of business there.
Okay. So, you're drawing on that success and kind of tying into that wave.
Yeah, and also going to conferences and so forth. Later this month, we're going to NVIDIA conference, so that we think that'll, there'll be a lot of people looking for AI talent at an NVIDIA.
100%. Yeah. Where is that?
It's in Washington D.C., so it's local for
Okay.
me.
Oh,
But
great.
yeah, but we're bringing in our other developers. Their remote team in the U.S. are all coming.
Fantastic. And then so you've taken some of the team and rolled it into this new software product, but that's still under Be Additive, or do you have like
That's it.
another name for it?
Be Additive Tech. So Be
Yeah, tech.
Additive has a number of subsidiaries, but we all work like one company.
Okay. And so it's geared around the AI roles,
Yep. Yep.
the higher level roles. Got it. Fantastic. Okay. And so with that, then where in that new piece of software has AI enabled you guys to like really excel at what you were doing well with the other sectors of Be Additive, right? And draw on those
Mhm.
successes. How has AI helped you guys internally?
Well, internally, we use it everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we use it for sourcing, we use it for candidate matching, we use it for outreach, scheduling interviews. We even use it somewhat for onboarding. So we spend an enormous amount of time assessing AI tools. It is moving so incredibly fast. One of the things that it's just interesting to me. Sometimes I'll get contacted and someone will sell me on a tool. I'll refer it to our assessment team, and they'll
Yep.
look at it and they'll say, well, it's not very good. Here's all the problems with it. And
Mm,
then I'll hear about it again 4 months later, and I say, look at it again. And they
mm.
say, it's a totally new product.
Yeah. Wow.
Because like in 4 to 6 months, these companies are going so fast
Yeah.
that products that weren't very good today might be very good in 4 to 6 months. So you got to just keep looking at them.
Yeah, there's so much acceleration going on. I'm seeing a lot of the leapfrogging going on with similar products, and then something else comes along that's even better. I think it's always a matter of finding the ones that are really successful and then deploying them, right? And just it's like that shiny object, but you find a tool that works for you, put it to work, right?
Well, that's what I advise everybody.
Yeah,
A lot of people do analysis paralysis because there are
yeah,
so many tools and they can't make a decision. And what I always tell people is just start.
yeah.
You'll never have perfect information. 3 months later, these tools are going to look different. And so just start. And even if it's not the perfect tool, you'll learn how to use these tools and you'll learn what you
Mhm.
don't like and you'll learn what to look for.
Yeah, yeah. And so during the hiring process and utilizing Be Additive tech, how do you guys maintain the human oversight or the human interaction so that the AI that you're employing as part of your matching is valid or doesn't come up with errors or just is cross-checked.
Yeah, well, when it comes to technology and I think when you're working in senior people and what you might call low quantity types of hiring, like we're doing with our senior AI person, you still need a very high touch process. There's
Yeah.
just too much nuance. Where I think you can go with a very low touch process is if you're doing volume hiring and it's really much more of a speed and quantity game. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times you'll find that the companies in the higher volume hiring, for large teams, they they really want a very technology driven process. They don't want to
Yeah.
be involved in
Really helps
everything.
them sift through it all.
Yeah, it allows you to it goes fast. I think candidates like it too. But when you're really looking for critical senior AI roles, you should use the technology much more as a helper,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it has to be people first.
That's great. And so it seems as though this is kind of it's probably like leading the market. I mean, do you have much competition in the space?
Well, there's lots of competitions of staffing firms trying to place senior AI talent. The big difference is that there's very few companies with our model where we're taking contractors from low labor cost markets and putting them in the companies in Europe and the U.S. and high labor ends markets.
Yeah.
So it solves the huge problem that there's such a shortage of talent to start with, but also, it's just much less expensive and much faster. So I
Mm-hmm.
can give you a
Mm-hmm.
couple of great examples. So, one of our clients we work with is IKEA in Sweden, and
Mm-hmm.
so they had a key ML engineer that just out of the blue quit this really critical project for them, and they were in a bad spot
Yeah.
because because you can't hire people really fast in the EU because there's really long notice periods, and if they had a
Okay.
2 or 3-month delay, this was gonna cost them a ton of money. So they came to us, and we had a bunch of vetted candidates for ML engineers in India, and we got them a candidate on board in 72 hours, and the project didn't lose a step.
No kidding. Wow, that's impressive.
And these people are good.
They were loving you.
Yeah, well, that's why we build up a talent pool of these people, right? So when they come to us, we can be a hero. And I do think
Yeah,
in this
yeah, it
case, we
seems
were
that's what I
here.
mean. It seems like you're a real differentiator where a lot of staffing and recruiting may have this as kind of like one sector, but you have certainly focused on it and then you've built it up with the depth of having the talent.
Right. So right now we just last week did a is maybe even overstating it, say a soft launch of the AI talent marketplace. We're looking for beta customers, particularly funded startups to work with us
Hmm.
and to bring in talent. But even, just soft launching is we've placed 2 people and we really want to do a more formal rollout of the product probably in Q1 next year.
Interesting. Okay. So is what's on your radar more then? Is it finding these startups and finding the companies because you have the talent pool for the most part? Or is it the other way around?
No,
You're in need of
so
both.
it's absolutely need of both. So when you
Yeah.
have a marketplace, you have to keep both sides in the marketplace supplied.
Yeah.
If you don't have any clients,
Well, of course.
no
Yeah.
job orders, you won't get any candidates. And if you don't have any candidates, clients won't want to join you. So you got to keep it in balance.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Interesting.
Mhm.
And so what do you see as some obstacles that businesses face when they're scaling their AI, right? And like, yeah, just kind of what obstacles maybe have you faced and challenges that you've overcome and any lessons learned, like takeaways from them?
Everything's just going so fast
Yeah.
that a lot of these companies, if you sit and overplan, you don't go fast enough.
Right.
And there's so much money behind these companies and so much demand from investors to go faster that they're really under the gun.
Yeah.
And so you need great talent because this stuff is hard to do,
Yeah.
but you also can't spend 3 months or 6 months looking for the great talent.
Yeah.
So that's the problem we're solving.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, and I mean, it's with everything just, from money to interest to use cases flooding in. I mean, it's just growing massively, 100%. There was that huge deal recently mentioned, what was it, like with Broadcom and OpenAI, and that again is
Mhm.
like the big boys, but also, it's definitely trickling down. It's interesting to see how the AI deployment, what it does to economies in the future. And I know there's a lot of speculation going on around that, but yeah, I think that's really interesting. And so, what do you guys do to make sure that the candidate data, that they're secure, to maintain the idea around like either compliance issues like EU, what is it, GDPR, or
Mhm.
anything else, just to maintain that client security?
Yeah. Well, so uh, f- first of all, we have legal entities in India and the Philippines where we can employ people. We know all the employment laws, and so all that's fully compliant. 41 other countries, we have partnerships with EORs, so all that compliance is always taken care of. Recruiters, we brought over the very best recruiters. There's no one in our company that has less than 10 years of recruiting experience.
Oh, no kidding. Oh,
And
wow.
nobody. We had 950 recruiters, right? So,
Yeah.
we brought in the best ones.
Yeah.
And so they're very familiar with GDPR. They're very familiar with all the compliance laws. They're very familiar in working in other countries. But I do agree. It is something, there's a lot of nuance to it. And if you don't have the experience, there's a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's not a place to take lightly. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And what do you see as some emerging trends, say either in recruiting or in business using AI in general, trends that might be developing over the upcoming years, say?
I really think these trends are hard to predict. Because it's moving so fast and it's really not clear where there's going to be acceptance and where there's going to be pushback. I'll give you a good example of that. Video interviews. All
Yeah.
right. We are assessing video interviews very hard right now.
Okay.
And
How so? Like, what do you mean there?
well, it's just to start, using video interviews done through an AI, through
Yeah.
through a virtual agent.
I see. Okay. So putting in
I'm
place a
sorry,
virtual agent to interview the
to
candidate.
do a first round of interview.
Uh-huh.
And the thing that's been, we have tried this. Some people
How'd it
absolutely
go?
love it. Other people hate it and think it's creepy.
Right.
So
Well,
I
that could be
can't,
said about AI in general.
yeah, but I can't really tell you for sure in a year from now if that's going to become a commonplace and broadly accepted, or it's just going to get rejected by the market. I really don't know
Right.
because the people I've spoken to who've gone through it have very strong opinions, and
Either way.
they're not the same.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not, I find this with AI technology that you can keep internal is generally great for productivity.
Yeah.
And when you start using it with your clients and with candidates, I also think it's great for productivity, but you have to be very aware. You never know where someone's not going to like it.
Yeah, it definitely has, I think, a higher level of scrutiny, and also like just the idea that if it's not good enough, then it may be a reflection on your guys' company. And those AI agents are moving so fast.
Mhm.
I know that, even like on the idea of like, Sora 2 coming out and these sort of things. And then, of course, with agents themselves, the voice ones are definitely better, but even though there's better ways to train them than others. And then when you have some sort of a visual of an agent as well, then that's a whole nother level. So I agree. I think there's going to be a rapid adoption and acceleration of it. And then there's going to be potentially a leveling off, and then maybe, a little bit downtrend in just because of like general acceptance. I mean, even if the AI agents are fantastic, I do think that there's going to be some people that, if given the option of live interview or like with an agent, AI agent, they would opt for the human. Right? Maybe it'll come to that or something. But I think that rapid adopters will, on both regards, but like companies or hiring companies will adopt it, and those that take it to the best performing at the time, like you were saying, like, oh, a company came to you and then it wasn't good, and then 4 months later it was worth a relook at. And so long as the individual that's going through the interview obviously knows that it's AI, even if the AI gets so good that it potentially is really hard to tell, but just letting him know, like, first round, it's going to be like this. I mean, I had it on an IT call the other day, right? Where the IT company was like, we definitely want to have a voice agent for our tier 1 support so that we're better using our internal staff with tier 2 and tier 3 level support. And we just want to be sure to let them know that it is an AI agent that they're speaking with. It's like, okay, great. That can happen.
Well, my view on all this is that you have to be really aggressive in implementing AI. And at the same time, you need to be careful, always talking to your clients, always talking to your candidates, getting feedback, but it's not stopping. And
No.
I also will say that a lot of the things that you hear criticisms of AI, I always say compared to what? Like you hear about AI being biased, and I say compared to what? Human interviewers? Human
Right.
interviewers are the most biased people in the world.
Right.
They're way more biased
Excellent
than
point,
AI.
Hank. Yeah.
And so all this stuff is compared to what? There's always trade-offs,
Yep.
and you need to be aggressive, but you also need to be paying attention.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. And so you've kind of beta tested the AI agents. If it was to get really successful, is how do you see the interaction between the ability to have an AI interview versus someone personally in the job role? Yeah, like
I
kind
I
of
think
like just give the candidate the choice, or
I think you're gonna give the client the choice.
yeah.
Because the client, a lot of time, if you have a lot of several candidates, they would love to do an interview screen and then take, 5 candidates, take it down to the top 2.
Mm,
And
right.
and, one of the things in recruiting is you always work for the client because
Yeah.
the client pays you.
Right.
So that's kind of the golden rule, right? The man
Yep.
with the gold rolls.
Right.
And but I also think you're gonna see this move up the value chain. As I said, for high volume hiring, this stuff's just gonna take over because it's just so much faster and efficient. When
Mm-hmm.
you get into very senior roles, at least in the near term, people want more kind of the white glove treatment.
Yeah.
Longer term, I think they're gonna get very used to it. Longer term probably being 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah. Yeah. Just continued exposure, right? And plus
Mhm.
it all getting better and better.
Yep.
Yep. More acceptance of it. Yeah. Probably a quicker adaptation by the tech companies, et cetera, than more of your, business that's down the street
Yeah. Well,
sort of thing.
one of the cool things about, a talent marketplace is we're working with all the people that are building this technology. So one of the best ways of staying really ahead of the curve internally
Uh-huh.
is just through all the people we interview, because they tell you what they're working on, they tell you where the industry's going, and if
Wow.
if it's something we want to learn, and we're interviewing AI data engineers, and there's something we want to know about that, we just ask our candidates.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, what a fantastic resource, right? Like
Uh-huh.
you're literally learning from the people that you're serving. Makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, 100%. Wow. And so yeah, any insights there on anything that they've said as far as trends or
I still find it a lot all over the map. I mean,
yeah.
but the people who work in this industry, they're working in it because they are enthusiastic about it. So it's a very biased sample.
Yeah, right. Right.
There's the techno optimists, and I would say most of the people we talk to, 90% of them are techno optimists.
Right, right. What about any guidance that you could give to those that have just or are recently or are just about to rather, graduate from college and maybe either concerned about where they're going in their career because it's being tweaked by AI so much, or that they're considering AI. In other words, at the early stage of their career, to best leverage themselves into being those potential great candidates that would be on your platform, what could they do right now?
Yeah, that's a great question and a real hard situation because for the last 3 decades or so, if you wanted a great job, you got a computer science degree.
Yeah.
And now, you see the vibe coding
Yeah.
and everything coming in, and there's a lot fewer of programmers and beginning developers, early stage developers not being hired. And so, one of the things that I think works best is just building relationships with senior people who can kind of guide you through. A lot of techies don't do that well.
Right.
And
Right. They tend to be more
they
introverted.
and it's a skill set that they never had to do.
Yeah.
But it's kind of amazing when people go to a good school and get a computer science degree, and now, before they had 7 job offers, which one do you want?
Right.
Now,
Right.
can I get 1 or 2?
Right. Because maybe there's, first of all, not even that many jobs like that
Mhm.
anymore. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that there's a concern around, AI is going to take away jobs, but there's also like the report and my also personal belief that, like from the World Economic Forum, that there's going to be, net millions of jobs gained because of it. I think it's just a matter of how quickly people adapt to the tech.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, and certainly throughout history, whenever there's been a major revolution in technology, it's destroyed a lot of jobs, but it's created more.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
can certainly see that scenario in AI. I mean, it could be a very
Yep.
democratic force in that it's doing things like making building products really cheap.
Yeah.
And so it was before you had to raise a lot of money and you needed a team of 10 developers, a smart high school kid can do a lot of this stuff.
Right.
So it could be a real boon to startups. It also, potentially could really concentrate wealth in a small number of big tech companies.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's clear where it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely hard to predict.
Well, I will say this. It's not clear how it's going to play out, but it is going to go.
Right. Yeah, and that's just the thing. Even you take it to the big scale of like, super intelligence, when we truly get into that, it's like, where is that going to go? And that brings in that's opening a can of worms as far as discussions go, and even like the ethics and so forth around it. Yeah, where is it going to go, and how are each one of us going to either go along for the ride or control the ride, right? Like
Right.
hop on that horse and like just be freaking out along the way, or like grabbing the reins and be like, no, I want to go there with it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're gonna get run over. So you gotta just start. You gotta try things out. You have to network more. You gotta meet more people, and the people who do that will figure it out. And they'll
Yeah.
they'll do fine.
Yep. Yep. 100%. Well, fantastic. Hank, this has been great. Any parting thoughts? Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I mean this was fun. So thank you for having me on your podcast. And actually there's one thing. So we're still
Yeah.
looking to work with a few more beta customers to help us, build out the AI talent marketplace. And so, the companies who do that, they'll get a lot of preferential treatment. We can build custom talent pools for them and, work with them on pricing and other things. So if anyone's interested, please have them reach me. We're looking primarily for funded startups.
Fantastic. And so how would they find you online?
Well, they can just reach out to me. The best is by email. So hank.levine@beadditive.com. Or they can get to our website and, fill out a form. But we'll take good care of anyone who reaches out to us.
It sounds it. It sounds it. Very good, sir. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Stick around for a minute. But yeah, thanks again. This has been fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark.
Very good. We'll talk soon.